This podcast is brought to you by Rebecca Kearsells of the Rising Dawn series. Do you like violence? Do you like smut? Are you tired of the stereotypical novels of werewolf romance out there and want something a little bit different? Then pick up Sparked Revolution, Book 1 in the Rising Dawn series by Rebecca Kearsells. Available on Amazon, in Kindle, and paperback. You too can become a sponsor of Stories, the True and the Fictional by heading on over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF or follow the link in the show notes. Hello guys and welcome to another episode of Stories, the True and the Fictional. My name is J.A. Bryden, one of your hosts. With me always is the radiant, heavenly resident reader, Ryan, because he's right under the spotlight. How you going, Ryan?
Oh, I am good. I'm living the dream. It's nice and early in the morning on a Sunday. I'm wide awake. I'm chipper, and I am good to go. I mentioned off air I'm almost finished Matt Waterhouse's Bleeding Concrete, which is a psychological thriller novel that we had him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He's very, very good horror writer. Different to a lot of horror that I've been reading, as in this book it's literally set in one location. It's one guy and it's in his apartment, and I'm not going to say anything further because it's quite good, man. I can't stop reading it. And went and saw an amazing horror movie called Whistle. It has an actress you'd be very familiar with, Jamie, Daphne Keane from F23.
All right. Yeah.
And Deadpool and Wolverine, because I was sitting there and I'm watching that movie, and I was like, "Where do I know you from?" And she looked a lot like Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter from Stranger Things. So I googled it, but then it was Daphne Keane. That's a very, very good movie. So check that out if you're into horror and like supernatural kind of vibe, paranormal vibes. Pretty good. Other than that, I've been playing, as I mentioned last week, I've finished the Spider-Man trilogy on PS5 for probably like the 100th time. I'm currently playing Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, which I had for a long time. I remember playing it on PSP probably about 20 years ago. They did a remaster when the new Final Fantasy VII games came out on PS5. Yep. I bought it on day one and I slept on it. I haven't played it, and I'm about 22 hours in and absolutely loving it. It's a great little action RPG filled with tons of Final Fantasy VII action, and yeah, so I'm loving that. So that's what I'm doing after we record today. But other than that, I am living the dream, but I'm repping one of our previous guests today, the guys from ZombieCon. So thanks again for sending us some awesome merch. We love the movie. I'm going to put it on for my wife today, I think. She hasn't watched it yet, but she loves zombie movies. So ready and raring to go with our amazing guest today.
Awesome. Well, before we bring him in, remember to check out our sponsors, Rebecca Kearsells, Martin Kearns, our honorary sponsors, Janelle Schiecke and Alexander Robb. Check it. All their links are down below. They are some great author and great people. We have Janelle Schiecke coming back on probably in a month or so to freak out Ryan because her new book is called Spiders.
And I have actually pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it on the day that she dropped it because this is my biggest conundrum. I am a massive arachnophobe, as people know on the podcast. But Janelle Schiecke is my favourite horror author at the moment. So I'm going to try and conquer my arachnophobia by reading her book, Spiders, which is coming out in March.
Excellent. Yeah, well, keep an eye out for that. Please do buy Ryan's shirt. He loves you to buy his shirt. We do have merch. Links down below.
You can live the dream if you buy my shirt. If you don't buy my shirt, you can live the dream, but you need to send me $5 for each time you want to live the dream.
Excellent. Anyway, let's bring in our guest, Mike Cahoon. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
It's good. It's good to have you on the show. We're going to have a lot to talk about. The first question is, who is Mike Cahoon?
Well, Mike Cahoon is a brand new indie author. I just released my first book last year in October, and just getting started in this whole thing. Outside of writing, I'm a dad and a husband and a firefighter. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, in the U.S. Um, yeah, man. Pretty standard stuff, I guess.
I don't know, man. Like I appreciate
Wow.
firefighters because I live in a national park,
Oh,
um,
wow.
and my town's almost burnt down 3 times.
Yeah.
Like literally just scraped the edge, you know. Um,
Hey, man. Get lucky for you, I guess. I mean, that's incredible. Three times and it hasn't reached your town yet. That's impressive.
yeah, I think the closest it got was 50 meters from the first house, and then the wind changed direction.
Wow.
Like, so we're like, thank you,
Yeah.
Jesus.
By
Yeah,
the skin of your teeth.
Yeah, literally.
Jamie lives in an area where one, yes, he does get a lot of a lot of fire threats because it's in the mountain, but then also he lives in an area where if we get heavy rainfall, there's only one bridge that you can go to come out because he lives in the mountains to come out to our area, and that
Oh,
bridge floods all the time. So he's at risk of fire and flood.
oh
Um,
man.
Oh, it's
we
what
had some really bad floods a few years ago, and yeah, he was trapped in his mountain home for I think like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though because the local pizza shop
Yeah.
chartered a helicopter
Oh
to
wow.
get supplies. But at the same time, they're going like they reached out to the community, going, "Does anybody need anything?" Well, actually, I'm going like,
Mhm.
that's how booming our pizza shop is. It's pretty
That
cool.
that that pizza shop is amazing too. We've had pizza from that place a lot, and they're really good pizzas.
They
So,
are. It's like,
Hey, it must be if they can afford to charter a helicopter.
well, it's I think they're up to third generation or second generation family owned business.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
so yeah, they're really cool. Really great people. But yeah, the other crazy thing about my town is the postcode. It's really weird because we have a town that's on a floodplain, um, and then you go through about three or four different towns, and then you get to my town, and we have the same postcode as the one that's in the floodplain.
Really?
So they always try to make people up here charge flood insurance. It's just
mm,
we're just like we're on a mountain. It's like
Yeah.
yeah,
if it's
Yeah, that
gonna
doesn't.
if it's gonna flood this high up, I'll be building a boat.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Oh,
but
what? Yeah.
sorry, I was just going to say, yeah, I agree with Jamie in terms of we have a lot of respect for firefighters because we it does get very out here in Australia, especially in summer. We've had a history of really bad fires, and my one of my dad's best friends is I think he's 75. He doesn't look it at all, but he's still part of a volunteer firefighter service over in where my dad lives because he lives on the north coast and they get one road in, one road out. Same situation as Jamie, high bushfire risk, high flood risk. And I've seen those guys in action and they're pretty amazing. And
Yeah.
you guys over there, we have a lot of respect for firefighters. So, yeah, it must be a tough job, but I bet it's pretty rewarding as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely one of those jobs where, like you said, it's high risk, high reward. Very much. You don't do it for the monetary
No.
compensation. You know, could be
Mhm.
doing a lot of other things and making more money. So it's definitely one of those things that you have to want to do it. You have to really want
Yeah.
to be in it.
Now, do you get many calls about people with cats up trees and stuff like that, or is that just like a myth?
So they stopped having us, at least in our area, they stopped having us do that because cats will just come down on their own when they get hungry.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
you know, it's one of those things
Yeah.
where it's like it's always the stereotype, but they're like, yeah, we don't there's literally no reason for us to do this. It's just a big liability for the department.
Yeah. And
The
as a cat owner, I can 100% guarantee that they will pretend to be in peril, but as soon as you shake the food bowl or get the treats out, they'll magically find the ability to get out of where they are or come down from where they are to be fed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can agree. There's
Yeah.
no point in you guys wasting your time to do that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
Cool.
you
All right,
know.
well, let's get the ball rolling with these
Yep.
icebreakers that we'd like to give all our guests. Now, because my memory is very good in the morning, I remember it's my turn to go first, Ryan.
It most certainly is, man. It most certainly is.
So, Mike, we want you to picture a world because we just got way too many political answers with this, like everyone
Yeah.
wanting to look good. We want selfishness. So imagine a world where there's no war, there's no cruelty to animals, where man, fires are just always under control. That's a new one I'm adding. Where 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 what do you say? All the politicians are well behaved. It's basically they're all Jim Carrey liar, so they can't
Mhm.
lie. It's a wonderful world to a point, but now we want you to make it more perfect. So if you could get rid of anything, what would it be?
Junk mail.
Oh,
Yep.
So, so I was talking to someone about this exact question. Junk mail, I can't believe it still exists. I don't know if it still exists in Australia, but here
Yep.
we're still getting physical letters
Mhm.
constantly, just spam. And it's crazy because they're, wasting paper and it's
yep,
causing an inconvenience and there's no reason that it should be like a legal
yeah,
thing that you can just send infinite amount of letters to people uh, you know, for no reason. And a lot of it's just scams.
yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, no, we
Yeah.
definitely get it over here. Um, we get first of all, you get all your catalogs, your
Yeah.
for shops that you never shop at, and they just drop them off and deliver that. And then
yeah.
you get your letters that say to the homeowner or to the, and it's just random crap about real estate agents wanting to buy the house. And oh yeah, I go to my letterbox probably once a week, and I guarantee you there's like one letter addressed to me and the rest is just junk
Junk
mail.
mail.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And if the scope expands far enough, I would extend that to emails as well and like
Yeah,
spam
Yeah.
phone calls. But I mean, if we could just get rid of the spam physical letters, that would be humongous. That would change the world for the better.
Yeah, and probably save a hell of a lot of trees too, because the
yeah.
amount of junk mail we get is just phenomenal.
Now,
So I can
Yeah.
agree with that.
now, imagine this, Mike. You open up this letter, and you're like, "Oh, hello, author."
Yeah.
Hey, I don't have to imagine that. I get
I
those
know, I know.
emails all the time.
Yeah, but imagine a paper version. It'd be hilarious.
Oh yeah, that would be wild.
I had
I
we get them to our podcast email all the time, and they're going, "Oh,
yeah.
hello, author," and I'm going like, "We're not an author." And sometimes I reply and I say, "I will give you $50 if you name a book I've written," and then they give us a guest that's been on the podcast. You know?
I do the same thing with emails because they'll say, "Hello, author, I loved your book, whatever," and then I'll be like, "Well, what part? Like, tell me something about my book that you enjoyed," and then there's no response or
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I had a great one yesterday, and it was like they hadn't even filled it out. Like it was like it literally said, hello, author. My name is," and then in brackets, insert your name. So they didn't insert their name. Yeah.
zero effort.
Like, yeah, and I'm just going like, wow, you guys aren't even trying.
Hello. I remember it was about a month ago. I was cheering. I'm not an author at all by any means, and I got my first hello author. I really loved reading your book. I'm like, wow, what book was that? Because I haven't actually written one. I was so proud. I saved that and I showed Jamie, and I said, here
Yeah,
is my first scammer mail, and it was through X in my DM. So I was very happy with that. I
Nice.
want to frame it. I want to frame it. It's
yeah,
special.
Yeah,
excellent.
you should. That would be awesome.
All right.
Awesome. Okay. Question number two is, Mike, what's something that's on your bucket list?
So actually, going to Australia or New Zealand. I've
Okay.
both. I've never been, um, and I would love to go. I've always wanted to go, especially since I was a kid and I watched Lord of the Rings in
Hmm.
theaters.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of been one of my dreams to always go over there, make it to the other side of the world, as they say. But
Literally.
yeah, but no, that would definitely be high up on my bucket list. I'd like to go. I'm really into like hiking and backpacking and all that, so the outdoorsy
Mhm.
aspect of it really appeals to me. And then just it'd be cool to just go somewhere so different from here, so far away from here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll definitely say Australia is a beautiful country. I've been able to drive and go on holidays with my family pretty much everywhere except for WA. But New Zealand, I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, and me and my dad in 2012 went over there and we did the tour to Hobbiton.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so we got to, I actually got to see what was behind Bilbo's door. And spoiler alert, it's really nothing. It's just like a little, a little.
Cleaning supplies.
Most just had like supplies, but I got to run down the path and yell out, I'm going on an adventure." And um, me and Dad went to Mount Doom, the actual mountain that they filmed. It was an actual mountain. Obviously, a lot of CGI involved, but there is a mountain that
Oh,
was designed on.
you mean there
Um,
wasn't just like fire shooting out
no,
of it constantly?
no, not constantly. No, it is. They have some good hot springs, but not quite like that. Um, but yeah, New Zealand is a beautiful country. We spent 3 weeks there. Drove all around the North Island. It's just phenomenal. And if you do ever get to go, Wellington, which is one of the biggest cities, has a really good Peter Jackson museum.
Oh, nice.
It's called the Weka Studios, and they have a lot of props from all of his movies, like from District 9, from Lord of the Rings, from
Oh,
heaps of his movies. So yeah, if you ever do get to go there, I definitely recommend checking that out. It's free to go in too, so it's really good.
nice. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. I would love to go, and I know my kids would love to go because they are 4.5 and 3, so they're
Oh
super into
wow,
Bluey.
yeah.
So
Bluey. It's always Bluey.
yeah,
I think we always seem to have some kind of export that goes over to the States when it comes to kids entertainment. We had the Wiggles when we kind of grew up in our era. The Wiggles were big
yep.
over here and then big
Yeah.
over in the States. And now it's Bluey because I watch a lot of animal videos on Facebook and Instagram, and the amount of dogs that actually love watching Bluey as well as kids
Mhm.
is phenomenal over there. So I'm glad we can give a part of our culture over to you guys that way.
Hey man, I mean, I wasn't aware that there was talking dogs in Australia, but that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have talking dogs, we have drop bears, and yeah, it's fantastic.
You gotta be careful, Ryan, because 9 out of 10 people believe in drop bears when we say
I
that joke.
know. I love doing that, man. I love talking. I talk to a lot of people on Facebook for in relation to video games and wrestling, and I freak them out with drop bears all the time. And now that AI is a thing, I've
Yes.
actually created a real image of a drop bear, so a koala mixed with a bear. And I send that over to them. I say, "Here's our drop bears,"
Yeah.
and they do. A lot of them, a lot of people do believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I'm
That's
I'm
that's
I'm
hilarious.
I'm waiting for a horror movie. I'd love to have a drop
Mhm.
bear horror movie.
Yep.
Hey man,
Yep.
we got what was it? Cocaine Bear a couple
Yeah.
Yep.
years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
anything's
That was
possible at
awesome.
this point.
But that was
And
like
that was based on a true story, on true event.
but
Cocaine Bear was literally a drug cartel was smuggling drugs into going from Colombia to either Mexico or New Mexico. And yeah, literally dropped some packages and a bear got into some cocaine and just went absolutely crazy.
yeah. Not to the extent of the movie, because
No, no, of course not. No, of course not.
the movie's like very, very loosely based.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. But Jamie, in relation to your Drop Bear horror movie, we did get Rippy, which is
Yes, the kangaroo one.
a zombie kangaroo based on our famous children's TV show from back in the 80s called Skippy.
Skippy.
So we do have a zombie kangaroo movie, and it is quite entertaining.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I like it. So good.
Sounds pretty awesome. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I
is.
definitely would love to see that.
It really, it is. I'm the horror aficionado of the group, Mike, and I watch horror pretty much like every day. I watch something to a movie or TV shows or whatever. But yeah, Rippy was up there with the Bambi horror movie. That was pretty cool.
I have not seen that one. I've not seen that one yet.
All the those like Winnie the Pooh, Popeye, Bambi, they're all in the free use era now. So the Winnie the Pooh horror movies, Blood and Honey, were amazing. The first two, they were actually really, really good. We've got Bambi, which was great. There's a Peter Pan horror movie, which is really good as well. Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
The original Mickey Mouse is now. There's two horror movies, one called Screamboat and the other one I can't remember the name of. But also Popeye. There's two Popeye horror movies. There's Popeye the Slayer Man, and there's another one too. You know what? They're not bad. Like I've seen a lot worse horror movies than those. So if you like horror and you like your childhood being ruined, definitely check them out.
Hey, what a time to be alive, right?
100%, man. I love it.
All right, let's move on to the next question. One of our favorite ones.
Yeah, we have a visual aid for this.
I'll let you ask this one, Ryan, because I stole it last time because your internet cut out.
I know. Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. This is my favorite question. So this image that we're about to bring up, Mike, I'm sure you're familiar with, being a United States citizen. The famous Mount Rushmore with Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and George Washington. I actually think I got them right in the order too, from right to left. So this is Mount Rushmore, 4 famous and memorable American presidents. Given that is that Mount Rushmore, what would be on your Mount Rushmore of television shows? So in your opinion, the 4 TV shows that you think are the greatest of all time, anytime, any genre, you name it. Can be anime, can be, real, can be, documentaries, whatever you think, in your opinion, are the best 4.
That's a tough one, but let's see. I would say my favorite TV show of all time is the original, The Firefly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We need more Firefly. Joss Whedon, if you're listening, give me more Firefly.
It's a tragedy that it was canceled so quickly before it ever got a chance to really get going. But, let's see. Ooh, gosh, that's a tough one, man. If I had to say, let's see, I gotta put at least one like animated show on there. I would say, did you ever watch Samurai Jack?
Yeah, hell yeah. Samurai Jack's awesome.
I loved that cartoon. That was my favorite show as like a kid. I love that one. Let's see. Whew. I think I gotta put like Game of Thrones on there. I hated the way it ended, but it introduced so many people to like modern fantasy and like how great fantasy could be as like the grimdark genre and all that. Because there was like kind of a before and an after Game of Thrones TV show in terms of like popular culture.
100%.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously those first 5 seasons or so were peak television.
Yeah.
So
no, they were. I think the general consensus is everyone that we've had on that's mentioned Game of Thrones in Mount Rushmore hates the way it ended, and I can completely agree. I've watched that show probably like 4 or 5 times, and it's just so good, and then it just gets so bad.
Yeah. No, I mean everyone I know says the same thing. It's like, man, they flubbed that ending, man, and it's crazy because I think HBO was quoted as saying they gave them like, like unlimited budget, unlimited time to finish it, and they just said, let's just wrap this up as fast as possible.
Ridiculous.
Do I still have? What do I have? Like one left?
more to go. One to go.
Okay. You know what? I think I got to give it to like the original Star Trek.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, I grew up watching Star Trek with my dad.
With it.
So,
Shut
old,
up.
yeah, old William Shatner, man.
Yeah.
He was the dude.
Yeah. I think there's something about that original cast. I'm not a massive Star Trek fan, but my wife is a massive Trekkie. She absolutely loves Star Trek, so I have watched all the shows and the movies and everything. But there's something about that first cast. Leonard Nimoy, George Takei, William Shatner. Like, there's just so
Oh,
many
wow.
great, yeah, so many great actors in
Yeah.
that first series. And I think that series came out, if I'm not mistaken, the late 70s. I'm not
I
100%
think it's
sure.
60s, man.
Oh wow, oh, there you go. So for the time, it really was a pioneer for the science fiction era in terms of
Oh yeah.
television shows.
I would almost say if it wasn't for the nostalgia factor of Star Trek, I would almost say like Twilight Zone or something like that would be on
Yeah.
my Mount Rushmore
Yeah,
because that's kind of the same way. It's the
yeah.
like a pioneer show, and it was like kind of the precursor to so much of what we're watching
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
They just could
100%.
almost be interchangeable.
No, 100%. I'm just consulting my
Google.
God on when Star Trek the original series came out. But yeah, no, I agree. And the fact that Star Trek is still going today, we
Yeah.
still have, there's a new show started this year, Starfleet Academy, and
Yeah.
Jamie's a big fan of Strange New Worlds,
Yeah.
and 1966 the first season started. So there you go.
Hey, there you go.
1966. Even I'm not that old.
Which
I
means
was
it's
I.
the 60th year now, this year.
Oh,
Wow.
60 years of Star Trek. And
same.
I will say this, Ryan, just to prepare you for it. We do have someone coming on soon who writes for the he writes Star Trek novels,
Oh
Okay.
wow.
and other stuff. And I think he had something to do with the IDW comic series as well. So
That was really good. I did read some of that because there was well, you know how we get in Australia, we get these collections in our newsagents where, you can buy, they come out fortnightly,
yeah.
and you get hardcover comic things. And I bought a couple of those and I read them, and they were from the IDW series and they were really good. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
He also writes horror as well, so
Oh, there you go.
so it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
I'm happy. More money for Ryan to spend on books. My TBR
Yeah.
list is 173 books at the moment, and I'm slowly but surely getting through them. And Mike, that's not just from me, lack of reading. I read for 3 hours every day. Every night I read 3 hours. I just have so many amazing books to read from indie authors.
Hey
Um,
man, you don't have to justify anything to me. I'm a big book guy too. I just consolidated all my ebooks into one library from all the different
yeah.
like things and all that. And I had like over 500 ebooks.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
did the same. I did the same not long ago because I had the Kobo app. I had
Yeah.
Kindle. And then I had a lot of there's a really good website where you can buy collection of PDFs or EPUBs of
Yep.
certain authors. Like I just bought all of Rick Riordan because I love Percy Jackson, the movie,
Yeah.
the TV show, the books. I bought all of his books and I can never pronounce his name, but the guy that wrote The Witcher, I bought all of his books. Andre
I
J
just bought all of
something.
his books too. Same thing.
Yeah,
Probably the same
I
site.
I just I love the game. I love the show, except for the latest season. Um, so I really want to get into the source material. So I think it was about a month ago I picked up all of those books. I think for $60 I got his entire collection. So I'm happy.
Nice.
But yeah, I did consolidate all my books into one app. Now that you can upload books you've bought not on Kindle, you can upload them to the Kindle library now. So my Kindle library just goes on for pages. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy. I'm never going to not have anything to read. Um, and it is a running joke on this podcast that the only reason we do this podcast is to get me to buy the author's books.
Yeah.
And I will say, spoiler alert, I already have bought your book. I bought it last night before we did.
Hey,
So
there you go. Thank
I
you.
definitely.
You're the one.
See,
Yeah,
see,
I did. I bought it last night.
and that's rare because he normally buys it on the podcast
Yeah,
while we're recording.
yeah.
So it's an honor for you, Mike, that he
Oh, thank you.
pre bought it. You know.
Yeah. Not many people do. Because I was on X last night and I bought a couple of books. One of the authors we had on our show, Tim Robert,
Oh
he
yeah.
said he wanted to get 21 sales on the 21st of by 21st of February, and he needed 3 books. And I had these books on Kindle Unlimited, but I hadn't bought them, so I bought the 3, and I said, okay, there's your 21. And then I thought I'm going to look into tomorrow's guest as well. And I went to your page on your Amazon, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to like that book, so I bought it as well. So yeah,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, you can
No
leave. You can
problem.
leave now, Mike. You can go. No.
Yeah.
Done.
See you.
You're
All right. Thanks for having me.
No.
All right, I'll ask the next question, Jamie, because I
Yeah.
know you like the last question.
Yeah. That's all right.
So the next question is, what is your zombie apocalypse plan?
Please tell me
So
it
I
has something
mentioned
to
it
do with
earlier, but
fire trucks.
actually funny. So I mentioned earlier I've always been really into hiking and backpacking and camping, and where I live is only a couple hours away from the mountains. So my
No.
plan would probably be to go up there, take my family, go out into the woods and get as far away from people as possible.
Yeah.
I'm super familiar. You guys are aware of what the Appalachian Trail is?
Yep.
Yes, I
Yes.
am. Only because a lot of horror movies are set in the Appalachian Trail, so
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with it.
So yeah, so I've hiked all of the Appalachian Trail in Georgia and most of it in South Carolina, North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
Just super familiar with all that area. So I feel like I would do okay up there, pretty
Mm.
well. And I feel like the less zombies and less people you have to deal with, the better in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Give it about a
Oh,
year and then maybe try to come back and see what's going on.
Yeah.
okay. I like that. I don't think we've had actually anyone who has, said the smart answer of, hey, I'm just going to do this for a year and then I'm going to come back and, see if I can go home if there's no zombies around or get back to civilization.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have to
Oh,
rebuild, being up in the mountains where it's like limited access seems like the best
mhm.
place to start, you know.
But yeah, I recommend don't go to the Appalachian Trail because a lot of horror ensues, a lot of cryptids. Like apparently that's where Bigfoot lives. That's
Hey,
where a lot of Wendigos live. So you're gonna have to fight them off as well as the zombies. So maybe stick.
a zombie Bigfoot would be pretty bad news, I think.
Oh
That would be pretty rough.
yes,
Well,
I'm gonna Google that and see
he's
if there's a horror movie based on that. And if there's not, I want to make it.
yeah.
There you go. There's your first book idea.
Yeah,
Pitch it,
exactly.
pitch it to the Dark Vale Society, Ryan.
I will, and then I can maybe get like my ultimate thing. I want to be killed in a horror book or a horror comic or a horror movie. I want my name to be as a person and murdered and torn apart in a horror book.
Well, Janelle Schiecke is still writing the Clutter Man. Have you reached out to her and asked her if you can put your name in it?
I will ask her when she comes on the podcast in a few weeks. So I noticed I think she said she was quite a way through it. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Cool.
I'd like to eventually get into do horror at some point, even if that's short stories or or actual novels. But if I do, I will. I'll make you that promise. I'll kill you in a book.
Yes, yes, I love it. And I want to. I don't care how you kill me. Just if you want to rip me to shreds, I'm totally okay with that. And you know what? Indie horror is completely underrated because I only discovered indie horror because of this podcast in terms of books. And I've read so many amazing horror books over the last few years. It's just such an untapped resource. And
Oh yeah.
there's so many good horror authors out there. So maybe you can add your name to that list. And if you write horror, you guaranteed that I'm going to buy it anyway. But
Yeah.
I will definitely be on board with that.
Awesome. There you go.
All right, let's get to the last question. So, Dr. Emmett Brown leaves his DeLorean parked in your driveway. Where are you going? Or when are you going?
All right, so I'm a little bit of a history nerd. I listen to a lot of
Mhm.
history podcasts and stuff, and I think the biggest question that I would want to know, I would want to get answered, would be what I would go to the collapse of the Bronze Age
Okay.
Mm,
and
Mhm.
figure out because nobody one of the biggest mysteries is they don't know what happened that kind of led into that
yeah.
Dark Ages. But
Mhm.
there was kind of this peak, and then all of a sudden everything just sort of fell apart, and then it was just nobody really knows. There's no answers, and they've been trying to figure that out forever. So that would probably be the answer that I'd want to figure out first. There's a lot of things I'd like to do if I could go back in time and
Yeah.
see, but that's the biggest one I think, because there's all sorts of theories, and there's this thing about the sea people that's written about in a bunch of stuff that they were all apparently raiding, but nobody knows who they were or where they came from. And
Okay.
there's all sorts of weird stuff about this
Atlanteans.
time, this specific time period.
Wow, I
It was
like.
Jason Momoa. He did
Yeah.
it. And Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
No.
that. I like that. I think that a lot of people, you would. The only thing I would say is definitely yes, that would be an amazing thing to do, but try and stay away from people because you might catch something back there that you might not agree with you, or you might give something to someone and completely wipe out a population.
So you going back there is what destroyed the
There you go.
Yeah, there you
Bronze
go.
Yeah.
Age.
There you
Well,
They got the flu.
go.
I mean, it is what it is. If that's the way that's the way it happened, I guess that's the way
Yeah.
it happened. Don't want to change it
I
now. We wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah.
know.
That's
I
it.
love it.
That's it. Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, you reached the end of the icebreakers and you passed with flying colors.
Yes.
Good to know.
Now let's get talking about you. What is your author origin story? Is the question we like to ask. How
Mhm.
did you get into it?
So I've been a big reader since I was a kid, fantasy, sci-fi. Like I was saying earlier, my dad got me into it. And between him and my brother and me, we kind of would just read books and we would pass them back and forth. And I majored in actually writing in college. And then I came out and I decided to become a firefighter for 14 years. I've been doing it for almost 15 years now. And
Wow.
yeah, and then I kind of just put the whole writing thing on the back burner. And I decided around the time that we had our first kid that I was going to start trying to actually write because I had always had this idea in the back of my head that I wanted to write a book, but I had never committed to it, really
Mm.
done anything more than just write a few pages here and there. But I was like, I'm at the time in my early 30s, early to mid 30s, and I was like, if I'm ever going to do this, I should probably start now, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to be 70 years old and be like, oh, I always said I was going to do this thing and then I never did it. So, but yeah,
Awesome.
that's basically how I got to this point in my life.
Okay. So you said you're a big reader, so that's something that we have in common. What I know you said you grew up reading sci-fi and reading fantasy. Who were some of your influences that you grew up with, or that maybe inspired your writing style?
So, I mean, as a kid, I read, all the classics, like uh like The Hobbit and,
Mhm.
Narnia, all that stuff. But I mean, I was a big Redwall fan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with
Yeah.
that. Tamora Pierce, Artemis Fowl, just,
Mhm.
I mean, obviously Harry Potter. Everybody read Harry Potter.
Yeah.
All those kinds of classic fantasy, Del Toro quests, all those kinds of things when I was a kid. But and then as I got older, I got into a lot of the classic fantasy, obviously Lord of the Rings, but things like Tad Williams and
Mhm.
I read all the Shannara books,
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. And then around my 30s, late 20s, early 30s, I kind of got into reading more of the grimdark fantasy, Joe Abercrombie, George R. R.
Yep.
Martin, things like that. It was kind of a nice change up from epic fantasy, which is what was my wheelhouse for years.
Mhm.
It's one of those things where I think you read, uh, you kind of read epic fantasy for a long time, and it kind of gets a little bit to the point where you're like, all right, I've kind of read all these storylines. You read,
Yeah.
I've seen all of this before, and then you get into something like grimdark fantasy, or sort of the more modern voice, more modern style, and it's like, wow, this is so different, and it seems like it has so much potential, you know. So that's kind of where I came to my approach to writing, or my where my book came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like I'm very new to I'm a latecomer to George Abercrombie. I've read the Game of Thrones books, obviously. George R. R. Martin, absolutely, love his work. Obviously, don't the big thing with him is don't get too attached to characters, because they generally don't last long. But yeah, George Abercrombie, I just started to get into his work in the last probably 2 years, and yeah, it's definitely it's really good. I grew up on fantasy authors like David Eddings,
Oh yeah.
obviously J.R. Tolkien. Everyone who's a fantasy fan has read Lord of the Rings, pretty much. I was lucky enough that we had to read it for year 12 in high school over here, so I was very lucky. We had a really cool English teacher. We had to read Fellowship of the Ring, and then
Nice.
obviously went on and read like all of the Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit, The Silmarillion, all of those amazing books. But yeah, there's so much like that. That's obviously traditional publishing as well, and then so much amazing indie uh, fantasy of all kinds. High fantasy, dark fantasy, anything like that. It's just there's so much to pick from. I think is it's great to be a fantasy fan right now in terms of reading, because you've got all the classics, and then it's not stopping from the looks of it. So that's good.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, with the landscape now, if anything you're into, you can find. I mean,
Yeah.
there's urban fantasy, Asian inspired fantasy. I mean, it's come a long way from the days of everything being kind of like a Tolkien clone.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Uh,
definitely.
yeah. So no, it's great. I mean, it's the best time. It's probably the best time to be a fan of reading in general, but
Mm.
Mhm.
specifically like genre fiction.
Oh, 100%. I've read more. I was a massive reader growing up. Like I started, I can thank my mum for getting me into horror. She started me with the Goosebumps series back when I was young, and then I kind of evolved from there, and then found Stephen King and Dean Koontz and stuff like that. But I've read more books in the last 3 years than I've read in my entire life, and because there's just so much more available now. When I was a kid, you had the set groups of books, but once you read them, there was no ebooks back then. There was no real indie publishing. You had to be traditionally published,
Yeah.
or your books didn't see the light of day. And
Yeah.
now with and a lot of people bag on Amazon, but Amazon have created, essentially a way for indie authors like yourselves to get their work out there for not much cost. And I know there is cost involved,
Yeah.
but if you want to publish a book, you can write it and you can publish it. Nothing is stopping you.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we're getting so many amazing books every single week. Like I said, my TBR list is 173 strong. I plan to read at least 50 books this year, and I'm almost finished my sixth book. So, I mean, yeah, it's what a time to be a reader. So,
Yeah, man. I mean, the internet is an amazing tool.
mhm,
It's totally changed the world, and it's if you want to look specifically at reading, I mean, it's like you said, you have ebooks which you can download. I mean, we were just talking about it a minute ago. You can download a whole collection of ebooks that for relatively nothing,
mhm,
compared to what it would cost to buy the physical books.
Mm.
And then you can carry 1,000 of them around on your phone.
yeah,
So, and then if even if you're not the most advantaged person in the world, there's all sorts of free books online, like from
mhm,
places like Project Gutenberg, and
yep,
there's a lot of authors are giving away books for free, or at least the first book in a series for free. So,
mhm.
And then you got programs like libraries now are putting out ebooks and things. So
Yep.
it's, my local library, they got my book. So it's like, you can pretty much become a reader for almost nothing at this point.
Mhm. Oh yeah, and then you've got things like Kindle Unlimited, which is something we should have had a long, long time ago. You pay, I think it's like 14.99 a month over here in Australia, and it's like streaming. It's like Netflix for books.
Right.
You can borrow up to 20 different books at a time, and I love Kindle Unlimited because I read the book there, and then I'm like, you know what, I love this book, and I buy it anyway. But you know, Kindle Unlimited is an amazing tool as well. So yeah, it's such a good time, technology wise and quality wise, to be a reader. So yeah, and not very expensive. Like if I've counted up the amount of money I've spent on all my ebooks, it's probably a lot. But I mean, indie book wise, I haven't paid more than $10 for a book, and that's like two coffees over here or two energy drinks.
It's a big sacrifice for some people.
Yeah.
They really like their coffee. Um, anyway, let's talk about the thing we should be talking about. Your book.
Okay.
hmm
I'll bring up the cover because we love judging books by their cover.
hmm
Hey, what better
Okay,
way
so
to judge
this
them,
is
right?
well, this is clearly fantasy inspired. It's obviously a fantasy book. Just by looking at the cover, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to dig this. I love the emblem of the bear on the flag, and
Actually,
and
Ryan, just sorry to disappoint you, but this is actually the sequel to Cocaine Bear. No,
oh, okay, fair
I'm
enough.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
Well,
kidding.
that wouldn't disappoint me because I love
Oh
that
man,
movie.
you ruined the plot. You
Ruin
ruined
the
this
plot.
twist.
Yeah.
So with this cover, Mike, did you design it yourself, or did you outsource someone to create that for you? How'd you go about doing that?
No, man, I got a designer. Her name is Holly Lowe. She's got her own studio, Holloway Studios. I am not super artistically gifted. I tried to design my own cover on a like Canva for like a week, and
Mm-mm.
I just leaned back in my chair after about a week of messing with it and just said, I'm gonna have to pay someone for this.
Yeah.
There's no I'm not gonna be able to figure this out.
Well,
So yeah,
it's
no, I got a
definitely.
I got a designer and she did a great job, man. She was
Oh yeah,
amazing. Highly recommend her if there's any indie authors looking for a cover designer. Definitely recommend her.
yeah. I like the cover. I like, and I've said this before. I like, when there's not a lot going on in terms of different pictures all over the cover. Like you get some covers of books that just have you know 100 different characters on the book, and you don't know where to look. Here,
Yeah.
it clearly the flag, the emblem of a country or an era. Clearly on the top of a fortress, and immediately that you're in for a fantasy ride on this. So I
Yeah, for
definitely
sure.
think he definitely does really good work. I like that. So we like
Thank you.
promoting the artists as well as the authors as well. Giving them a little shout out. So I'm glad you did that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I really like the cover. It really drew me in. You know what you're going to get essentially by looking at this cover.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I was really happy with the way it turned out. I knew I wanted to go with the like the heraldry kind of cover,
Mhm.
kind of a it's almost a more of an homage to like the more classic fantasy books.
Mhm.
A lot of them kind of had that style. And I mean, some of the art that's coming out on books now is amazing and
Yeah.
incredible, obviously. But I've always kind of liked, like you said, that clean, simple, uh, really, really like evocative, immediate image, you know. I know it's not everyone's favorites, but like, Ryan Cahill and his Bound in the Broken series, they just
Mhm.
have that one symbol as on the cover. That's the whole cover, it's just the one symbol for each book. And I love that style. Um,
Mhm.
Things like that,
Definitely.
for sure.
And you know what? The images on the cover, if you've got it like that, and I agree, like with Ryan Cahill's as well. You're immediately drawn in. I'm focused on the emblem, on the flag. I'm not looking all over the place trying to work out what I'm getting here. It's just I love books I love covers that look like that because it's just to me it looks more impactful than having a cover covered in just a million different people or symbols or things that exist in the world. And that's what the inside of the book is for where we find out about the whole world. This is just the entry point.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's very, very good. I really like the cover.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And speaking of what's inside, what is inside this book? Tell us a bit about the plot, the story, the characters, anything that. No spoilers though.
So my few second elevator pitch is so like it's set during a burgeoning age of exploration, and basically it's about a vast and dangerous conspiracy that kind of begins to become unraveled when it's revealed during a dangerous and daring like heist that takes place right at the beginning of the book. Um, and it follows multiple points of view, a bunch of characters, different backgrounds, and social standings and things like that. And they're kind of all having to come to grips with this potentially world-changing, conspiracy as they're all kind of caught up in this web of violence and dark magic and politics and that kind of stuff. And like I said, again, it's all kind of set against this background of a age of exploration. So it's a fantasy world where they've discovered a new land and they've created colonies and they're all kind of trying to vie for control of this new place. And there's just like the real history of the world, there's already people living there too. So
Yeah.
it's not really the new world.
Nice. So is multi POV like what's the perspective?
Yeah, so we've got multi POVs. We have there's five main POVs in this first
Wow.
book. There's the Prince Cassius Roth, and he's kind of like a daring, heroic sort of figure, sort of your classic fantasy protagonist. And then you've got you got a friend of his who's a gifted mage, but he's also the son of a merchant family, and he's kind of he's sort of going against his family's wishes and wanting to kind of delve further into his studies of magic rather than use his gifts to help further the family and their business and all that. And then you have one of the other POVs is a entertainer from a foreign empire who was sent there as kind of like an envoy, and she's there during the heist at the beginning of the book, and so she gets kind of roped into everything as well. Um, Another POV is Holton, who is he is a thief. He's actually the one who does the heist, who's hired to perform this heist at the beginning of the book, and he's kind of an independent contractor, sort of a wild card figure. He doesn't know why he's been hired to do this. He doesn't know, and all he knows is he's getting paid, and so you kind of follow him, and as he's learning more about why he was paid to do this at the beginning of the book, and what his motivations are, why he was enticed to take on such a difficult and potentially dangerous task. And then the last POV is a character who's another kind of like thief, a con woman, and she gets involved with the son of the merchant sailor as he gets sent kind of against his will to investigate more about this conspiracy that's going on, and and he gets kind of pulled into everything, and she finds out what he's doing, and so she kind of attaches herself to him, trying to turn the whole situation more towards what she wants and to benefit her. So, like I said, it's a very you kind of have all these different characters that start at different points, and they
Yeah.
all come together. They're all brought together by this one event.
That's cool.
I like the sound of that because I'm a massive RPG and JRPG guy. So that's all it takes is, one big world-changing event and your party's formed and off you go, on the adventure. So I think that's why I'm a massive fantasy fan as well, because, it's just the stories that, you can tell they're just so rich in lore and in in the history of the world and just, the hero journey. I mean, who doesn't like that, that story path? So, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Sounds really good.
Awesome, thank you.
So how do you manage all your POVs? Like, are they in blocks, like chapter by chapter, jumping around, or do you like how does it appear? I guess.
Yeah, so the way I do it is every chapter is one character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I don't I it's not that I don't like the mid chapter switch of POVs.
Yeah.
I think it can work, but I tend to find staying with one POV
Yeah.
for a longer period of time lets you kind of get really into that character's head and get into that character's mindset, and you really get to sit with that
Yeah.
character and their decisions and stuff for much longer. I feel like the constant changing of POV
Yeah.
is a little jarring, and
Yeah.
I'm a new writer. It's much harder to pull off. So, you know,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen it done poorly before, and
No.
I didn't want to risk that.
Yeah. No, because I've written the manuscript for a fantasy needs a lot more work because it's my first time doing fantasy, and I
Nice.
did I did three. I did like blocks of three. So one character, three chapters, one character, next character, three chapters, and that worked. Working on a sequel for one of my recent books now, and I'm doing one chapter. But they're two characters traveling together, so it's kind of works. It's
Yeah.
just but I totally agree. Like, don't switch POV mid chapter. Like, it's just like, whoa,
Mhm.
what are you
It
doing?
gets it gets confusing because
Yeah,
as Jamie said, I'm the resident reader, and I sort of, Jamie had, one character he wrote 3 chapters on, and then the next character he'd write, 2 or 1, and I was like, no, you need to keep
yeah,
it the same length. If you're going to write 3 chapters for the first character, you write 3 chapters for the second, and just keep it. Don't switch it up. And then, I've read books where they do switch mid chapter, and
Yeah.
it just, it affects the flow so much. It's better to have at least one chapter, then move on to another character rather than just switch it up in the middle.
I think there's always exceptions to the rule. I mean, I don't know if either one of you is a big Abercrombie fan, but he has chapters in his books where he changes POV constantly through the chapter. He'll have like
Okay.
10 POVs in one chapter.
wow,
And it's it's a thing it works amazingly in his books, but
Mhm.
I think you would have to be a very confident writer to
yeah,
pull that off
Yeah,
effectively.
yeah. I was going to say maybe that comes with his experience, in
Yeah.
terms of, being a writer. Once you get to that stage where you're like, okay, I can juggle all these POVs and it not affect the flow of the story, then I guess if you can do that, then all for it. But I mean, there's a few and far in between authors that can actually do that.
yeah,
And I think you'll
Yeah.
find that, they're authors that have been in the game for, 20 plus years that can do that. As I said, I'm very new into Joe Abercrombie. I've just picked up a couple of his books. I haven't actually started reading them. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to checking that out for sure. But yeah, I'm all about flow. As long as
Yeah.
the story flows well, and I'm guiding through. If I finish a chapter and I'm like, what, I need to read one more chapter, and then same thing, and and the flow and the way the story comes together. As long as that's not affected, then I'm okay with whatever. But I generally like it when it's at least one chapter. You know what I mean? Like it's one chapter, focus on one character, and then move on to the next. At least one chapter each is my preferred reading style.
Yeah, and I think that's the way that most writers, even the big names they're the most comfortable doing it, and it seems to work the best.
mm,
Because I mean, when you look at the vast majority of writers, they're who have multi POV stories, they're
Yeah.
doing a full chapter to
Mhm.
one per character. You don't see a lot of them doing the mid chapter POV switch, and when you do, like I said, a lot of them, it's jolting. It's much
yeah,
more difficult to pull off.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. And, that kind of thing's okay for, like things like comics and graphic novels. Then, go right ahead and switch. I can handle that. I read a lot of comics as well. I can handle the POV switching quite a bit through that. But when you're trying to tell a good story, then flow-wise, I agree. I think one chapter, or multiple chapters per character is really good. So, yeah,
Right.
I like that.
So what are you working on now? Is it the sequel to the Scion conspiracy?
Yeah, so I'm working on a prequel novella
Mm.
and the sequel kind of simultaneously. I'm almost done with the novella, and I should have the sequel done. I'm hoping by the late fall of this year. That's kind of my plan. I'm hoping to have it done with the first draft by the summer, and then spend, a few months editing and all that, and getting it all formatted and everything, and beta readers, all that. And hopefully I'll have it pretty much finished and ready to publish by late in the year to maybe beginning of next year is my plan.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And do you think you'll use the same artist for the cover for the sequel or for the novella?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I talked to her about it. I definitely want to have a continuity of the series, same cover, same style of cover, all the books for this whole series. Um, that's my plan anyway.
See what
Okay.
happens.
Yeah.
And what? Sorry to interrupt. The how many books are you seeing this series being, or do you not know yet?
So my plan right now is I had it mapped out as a trilogy, and then with a few novellas thrown in there.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna have this prequel novella, and then I kind of want to have another novella between that takes place between the first and second book, and then maybe another one that takes place between the second and third book. So maybe like three main books and three novellas is my rough goal, my rough plan, I guess you could say. Um, I want to write more in this universe, world, whatever you want to call it, but those would be more like along the style of sequel trilogies or
Yeah.
or standalone novellas.
Yeah.
But I want to have this story have a clear beginning, middle, and end. I don't want to have
Yeah.
it drag on for 15 books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
be,
get it.
be careful because if Ryan reads it, loves it, he will be messaging you saying, "You know that little character? Do a book about them." Yeah, he will demand more. This is what he's doing to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's why I am doing the novellas as well. Prefer mostly to flesh out the world
Yeah.
and side characters because, I it's one of those things where when you're writing, you have a million ideas and you have a million concepts, especially when you're world building, and you don't have time if you want to keep your books within like a reasonable,
Yeah.
length. So the novellas
Yeah.
allow you to kind of play around with the world and do
Yeah.
stuff, focus on characters that aren't main parts of the plot,
Yeah.
Um, at least that's the way I see it.
You can get him out quicker
Oh.
too, you know?
Well, theoretically, yeah.
Yeah. Well, like like a 25,000 word book is going to be a lot quicker to get done than a 150,000 word book, if you know what I mean.
Yes, but it's hard because when you're writing, I found when you're writing novellas, the trick is you have to be able to be concise too.
Yeah.
Um, So it's, I don't want to say I'm not a concise writer, but I do like, description and world building and
Yeah.
going into things and, things like that. And so when you're writing a novella, the trick is giving enough information and having enough of a story for
Yeah.
it to feel like a complete story, but without going down any of the rabbit holes or side things or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So
I
it's a
100%
different, it's a
agree.
different discipline in a way, a different type of
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah. Because I set out to write two novellas once. I wrote a prequel to one of my books, and it ended up being twice the length as the original book.
Right.
And
So you
and
know
then,
what I'm talking
and
about.
then I sat down to write a novella, and it ended up being a novelette. So yeah. It's the story's got to be the story, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Um,
I find with fantasy, obviously that is a good genre to write because, like exactly what you say, you've got the main story, but then with fantasy, obviously there's going to be a lot of different characters. The world that you've built is going to be massive,
Mm.
and you give yourself enough room to be able to explore those other characters in novellas or in, you know, a standalone novel about, you know, this person. Or, you know, fantasy is just such a good way to do that. I mean, I go back to David Eddings. He wrote one of my favorite group of books of his. It's the Belgariad, which is 6 books and then another 6 books, and then he went back and wrote the prequel on one of the characters, which is huge. And then he wrote, you know, about another sort of prequel about the rise of that character's daughter in terms of becoming a sorceress. And it's just, I love it. If for someone like me who's a completionist, I will divulge and soak up everything about a world that I like. And the fact that you can do that is so good.
I got to ask this question as someone who is a fan of the Bulgarian and the Eddings and stuff. Have you ever read The Redemption of Althalus?
It's on my list. I never, my grandmother got me into David Eddings because she actually had all the hardcovers of, you know, Belgariad the Sorcerer, Polgara the Sorceress, and then Belgariad. I actually haven't. It's on my to be read list as well as the Riven Codex. But is it worth a read?
It's very interesting. It's very different than the other books. It's kind of like its own thing, set apart from the rest of them. But I only ask that because I've met a lot of fans of the Belgariad and all that, and I read those growing up. I don't think, aside from myself and my brother, I don't know anyone that's read The Redemption of Althalus. It's like their weird black sheep book, and I still have copies of it. You know, that's why I always ask if someone says I'm a big fan of the Eddings, you know, the Eddings world. I'm like, oh, have you read this one book that's like a standalone kind of thing? And like everyone's like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do have, because I got those books from my grandmother when she passed. I do have the hardcover edition of it in my storage locker, and it's always been there. Like I've read the Belgariad, I can't tell you how many times. Like it's at least and this is me being serious. I've read that 6-book series at least 20 times in my life. As well as, you know, the Belgariad the Sorcerer, for David Eddings fan, no, the prequel, it's about that big. It's freaking huge, but it's amazing. It's an amazing book. But yeah, no, I haven't met that many David Eddings fans to begin with, to be honest with you. But yeah, I always remember seeing that. And I'm like, I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. And then something else came out. I'm like, oh crap. Because Stephen King was a big fan. I was a big fan of Stephen King growing up, and his books are, you know, 1,000 pages plus sometimes. So a new Stephen King book would come out, and I'd be like, oh, I have this, but Stephen King, and then I'd spend a while reading that. So, I do plan to get around to it, but I always, whenever I feel like reading David Eddings, I always go back and just read the Belgariad again. I'm like, it's something about that story. It's just such a good hero's journey story. And you know, and then I read that and then I'm like, oh, I'll go and read the 2 massive prequels. And then by then I'm like, okay, I'm all fantasied out for a bit, I'm going to read something else. I really want to read it because I love all of his work. So yeah, it definitely is on my list. So maybe I will read it now that we've talked about it, and I'll let you know what I think after I read it.
If you're a fan, I would recommend it. I mean, it's definitely different. It's very different. Like I said, it's almost its own thing, its own world kind of thing, you know? It really has like almost no relation to the rest of the universe, as far as I'm aware. But it's, as far as I remember, I mean, I read it as a younger, you know, as a teenager. So like, I don't really remember if there's like little winks and nods kind of to the rest of the universe, but it's very much its own thing. And that's why it's so, I feel like that's why it's one of those things where I'm always like, I don't know anybody else that's gotten to this. Like you said, you know, everyone, the people I know that are fans, they're fans of the main, you know, main series.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna try and be that person that, you know, that liked it. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it probably in the next couple of months, and then I will be able to be that person saying, yes, I've read it and I like it.
You mean like how Chris our friend Chris tried to like The Last Jedi? Like he tried and he tried and he tried.
I have an update in relation to that. So, Mike, the Last Jedi is the only Star Wars movie I've never finished.
Really?
I get to the same place, Leia floating in space, and then I just cannot watch it anymore. my wife hasn't watched the last two. She never watched The Last Jedi and Rise of the Skywalker. And recently she just watched them all from start to finish, from Phantom Menace all the way to The Rise of the Skywalker. And she couldn't even finish The Last Jedi. And she will watch a movie, and if it's boring, she'll go on her phone, but she even couldn't finish that movie. So yeah.
Yeah, makes the original prequel trilogy look much better in comparison.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, see, I'm one of those rare, not rare, but there's a lot of fair few people, but I actually enjoy the prequels. I like seeing Anakin's story all the way through. And we got that iconic scene in Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan and Anakin are, they've got that famous speech going back and
Yeah.
forth about the high ground and everything. And
Yeah, you
I
were the
think
chosen one.
exactly, yeah, and I think it's good because I was talking to my wife about it, and I said, look, it's broken up obviously into three sections. The prequel trilogy is the Anakin story, the original three are Luke's story, and then the final three are Rey's story, in my opinion. And
Right.
it breaks it up, and you can see the Anakin arc from starting in Phantom Menace to being on the good side and going to the dark side, and then coming back down in Return of the Jedi, to eventually go back to the good side of things.
Yeah.
So I think those six movies are solid. Force Awakens I enjoyed. I'm not sure if it was just because it was the first Star Wars movie in so many years.
Probably.
But yeah, I still couldn't get through The Last Jedi. I've tried to watch it twice, and it's just not happening.
No, it's not. It's bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Everyone's talked about that movie forever and how bad it is. I feel like,
Yeah.
we're not breaking any new ground here.
No.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. No.
All right. Well, before we wrap things up, we have a little game to play.
hmm
This is a fun one. People that
Okay.
tend to say that, oh no, I'm going to be bad at this, end up being really good. So I'll bring up the graph so you know what's going on, because
Yeah, this game seems to have taken off quite a bit.
it really has.
A lot of people like it, and I'm glad that we can do it. And I think we have a lot of fun with it, and it gets our listeners and our viewers a chance to get to know a little bit more about you and how you
Your
come
creative
up
process.
with creative process. So
okay, so there's going to be 2 rounds, which means you're going to pitch us 2 stories, but basically you're going to give us a number between 1 and 12 for each of these categories, and then we're going to give you what that correlates to on a secret graph that me and Ryan have access to, and then you're going to pitch us a story. You can be as in-depth as you want, you can be as basic as you want. It's completely up to you, but you'll need to tell us a story, essentially.
yeah, so it's like you're trying to sell it. So in TV perspective, we're the studio, and you're trying to pitch us
Yeah.
this story, or in it can be a movie, a TV show, a book. But yeah, we're the people who are going to fund your
project.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
So you can give us, as long as you give us the pitch and you give us the guts of the story, we're happy with that.
Yeah. Let's do it. Sounds
So
good.
just give us 4 different numbers between 1 and 12.
All right. Let's see. How about 3, 5, 7, and 9?
3, 5, 7, and 9. All right. Oh, we got this last time. Your setting is a suburban cul-de-sac.
Okay.
Okay, and your genre is my all-time favorite genre. It is horror.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay. Your main character is a rock star.
Nice.
And your crazy edition, which is something or someone that needs to appear in this story somewhere. Your crazy edition is Henry Cavill, and this is not. It's not Henry Cavill as Geralt the Witcher or Henry Cavill as Superman. It's actually the
Henry
actor
Cavill.
Henry Cavill.
Okay. All right, so you want me to go ahead and get started on this?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Pitch us a story.
All right, so with these elements, my pitch would be you've got a aging rock star who has basically retired, living in a suburban neighborhood, uh, and he's he's kind of washed up. He has his wife and his kids, and they don't like him because he's not doing everything really well. And then it turns out that there's people going missing in this neighborhood, and
Okay.
he needs to figure out, somehow it has something to do with his past as a rock star, and how some it has something to do with his past as a rock star. People kind of suspect him because the people that go missing and are found dead later, they're all killed with some sort of musical element to it.
Nice.
And
Okay.
then, so they immediately suspect him, and he's this washed out, kind of like washed up former drug addict kind of guy. And so all this shade is posted on him. And then about halfway through the movie, as he's trying to figure out what's going on and whatever, he gets checked. He has a friend who he's been talking to on the phone, talking about all this stuff, and it turns out his friend is Henry Cavill, the famous actor. And he's in town shooting a movie or for a movie or whatever, and he comes to check on him, and then Henry Cavill ends up getting killed immediately as soon as he shows up by the serial killer. And that even shows worse on him, because that puts him even more in the shit, puts more shade on him, because because they're like, oh well, clearly he only came here to see him, and so
Mhm.
he killed him because he's this crazy guy, and he lost
Mm.
it when he saw this guy who's famous, and his former friend who was famous and all that.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
does he end up being the killer, or is it someone completely different?
I think the twist at the end is it's a spurned kind of like former groupie from his days back in the
Mm.
rock star days, coming back to try to, who's still holding a grudge against him.
Yeah.
And so she's
Yeah.
trying to kind of frame him for all these murders and stuff.
Okay. I like it.
Mm.
I,
Think
I'm going to say funding approved for sure.
I don't
You know
know,
what?
man.
I have a idea. One of the other suburban moms who doesn't remember that he had a fling with, because he was so jacked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
There you go.
But
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
I don't know. You killed Henry Cavill. I don't know how I feel about that.
yeah. Look. For me. Like, I think the story is good enough to justify that. As much as
Okay.
I do love Mr. Cavill,
Yeah.
I think we can justify that for the story.
All right. Okay. I'll allow it. You've twisted my arm. Um, all right. Round two. We have a new graph, so you can have the same numbers and it'll be something different, or you can give us new numbers.
Let's go with the same numbers.
Same numbers.
Okay.
All right. So that
Okay.
was 3, 5, 7, and 9. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So wow. Okay. Your setting is a garage sale or a yard sale. You might call it over there.
Yeah. Your genre is children's literature.
Kids book or movie, kids movie. Okay, so your main character. Oh wow, this is lining up with what someone else is. I think Tim McKay had this so far. Um, a wine taster or a
and
sommelier.
And your crazy addition, which is something or someone that needs to appear in this story, is a butcher, a baker, and a candlestick maker.
Oh man.
So it's a yard sale as your setting. It's got to be kids literature. Your main character's a wine taster, and you've got to have a butcher, a baker, and a candlestick maker.
Okay. Let's see. Let's get this going. How about so it's a kid's story.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
how about we have this guy who is a sommelier, and he is one of those people that's all, he's searching for old old antiques that have to do with wine tasting and
Yeah.
alcohol and stuff like that. And he goes to this yard sale and he's looking for special, unique kind of items. And he comes across in this yard sale from this old, eccentric billionaire or millionaire, whatever you want to say. This old guy, eccentric, super wealthy. He comes across uh, this old ornate goblet, and
Mhm.
he thinks it's going to be worth some money, and so he gets it. And then when he goes to drink from it, he immediately passes out, and he wakes up, and he's in a children's book. He's in a children's story, which is the
Nice.
story with with the butcher, the candlestick maker, and the
Ah,
yeah.
Nice.
I like that.
And
I like that.
and then so every time he drinks from this thing, he wakes up and he's in a different children's story.
Nice.
Kind of transports you for the duration of the time that you would be asleep for your dream. It sends you to the dream world kind of thing.
That's
I
very
like
clever.
that. I like that. Yeah, because we have had a butcher, a baker, candlestick maker a few times,
Yeah.
and it's been, people have been trying to work it in, but I like that idea, kind of like a Jumanji Page Master vibe to that.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that a
exactly what
lot.
I was thinking.
Yeah, I like that. Definitely funding approved.
But yeah,
Ah, there
100%.
we go.
Multi-billion-dollar budget for this children's story.
I see a Brendan Fraser playing that main
Yeah,
guy.
Yes.
yeah,
There you go.
definitely.
Yes.
Perfect.
Definitely.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Now that he's
Yeah,
back
I
in
like
acting.
that. Yeah, I
I
like
hope we have
that.
some Hollywood agents watching this. That'd be perfect.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
this.
They are. Oh, they're watching. We do have a friend who's an independent filmmaker.
Yeah.
Oh, we have technically. Could we call the ZombieCon people friends now? I'm gonna call them
I
friends
could.
now.
Well,
We have
I
two.
could. They kind of sent us some
Yeah,
merch, so I'm
that were
friends
great.
with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kyle and Aaron. Check out ZombieCon, guys. It's an indie zombie film where these cosplayers accidentally bring about the apocalypse, and then got to fight them with their con
Yeah.
in their Comic-Con costumes, and it's really cool. Really fun.
Sounds awesome.
But yeah, well, the show's over now, so we got to do we got to do the podcast thing and give you the floor to plug yourself. Where can people follow you? Buy your book. Stay up to date with what you're doing. The floor's yours.
The best place to buy it right now is Amazon. I do have hardcovers. You can buy signed hardcovers on my website, but only within the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'll be able to figure out international shipping at some point. That's a kind of a pain. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm on all the social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, all that stuff. Mike Cahoon, author. And then I've got a website. You can sign up for my newsletter. That's really the best way to keep up with me. I do a monthly newsletter. So
Awesome.
Well,
yeah,
guys,
for sure.
I will leave all the links down below. Please check it out. Be like Ryan and buy our authors' books, guest authors' books. Grow your TBRs. Do that. Yeah. So, if you want to reach out, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com. Please remember to check out our sponsors: Rebecca Kearsells, Martin Kearns, honorary sponsors Janelle Schiecke and Alexander Robb. Buy Ryan's shirt or whatever other merch that we have, but probably Ryan's shirt because he just wants you two to live the dream. And until next time, keep supporting those indie authors, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you guys.